tables. As you can see, writing material has been provided. There's also some water and there are also sweets. So really and truly, you should be very comfortable. Now, we're going to take our first group of amazing people. I've already met them, and I really like them already, and I know they're going to give us some amazing insight. So I want to invite up RX Global, the business in the business of building businesses. Can we give them a round of applause as they come up? Today we have Des Massicot, who is RX's Chief Information Security Officer. We have Nick Lowe, who is RX's VP of Technology. And we have Khalid Abdi, who is their Technology Apprentice at RX Global. All the mics are on. Gentlemen, have fun. I'm going to be around. And if you need me,
thank you very much.
Just wave. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Andy, Andrew, and whatever. Yeah.
Whatever you like, Des. Whatever you like.
Peace. Thank you very much, everyone. My name is Des Massicot. I'm the Chief Information Security Officer for RX. Oh, sorry, it's not working properly. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Oh, it's working now. My name is Des Massicot. I'm the Chief Information Security Officer for RX, also known as a cybersecurity expert, also known as the person that looks after your money and your assets. Today, we've got Nick Lowe, and here's your name again.
Khalid.
Of course, it's Khalid. The reason I chose Nick and Khalid on the stage today was more to tell their story. I think for many, many years, we've had leaders up here, but not actually Khalid, a Khalid type, to tell his story about his journey as an apprentice. The reason I chose Nick, very important for me, is that we're talking about allyship. Allyship that's important in all businesses. So it doesn't matter, we are colorblind. But what matters is actually having that allyship within that organization, someone who has your back and someone who you can look at to, black, white, or indifferent. And so hopefully, I think after now Tom and Dom, it was more of a conversation. I want this to be more of a conversation, so feel free to raise your hand and actually ask questions anytime you like. Okay? Perfect. Nick, starting with you. Do me a favor, tell your story.
Thank you, thanks Des, and thank you for having me here. So currently I'm the VP of Technology for RX, which means I look after the technology landscape. I started many years ago, too many unfortunately, back just when I finished my A-levels, and I didn't want to go to university. It wasn't me, it wasn't the right thing for me. So I was working at Marks & Spencer at the time, and I saw this role for an IT trainee at my local chicken factory. So, hey, why not? I applied for it. Surprisingly, I got it, and that's a whole different story, one question that actually changed that for me. What I didn't realize was I was on the path to work for the largest privately owned company in the world. So Cargill, that no one ever heard of, no one ever knew what they did, but you've used their products every day. They owned my local chicken factory. So I was fortunate to have a couple of people in there that would push me, would listen to me, and really challenge what I did. So I grew with them for the first 6 years, and then I got an opportunity to work abroad, which then spiraled into a career. So I lived in the Netherlands for 4 years. I got transferred to Belgium for another year. I then got a phone call out of the blue saying, do you want to move to America next week? So I did. Finally coming to Switzerland, and then back to the UK, where I finished my 16 years and then left my career. But I've been fortunate to have such wonderful people who have helped me along the way to my career, and really enjoyed everything that I've done and progressed through the ranks.
And over the years, I've seen you've been given that help, that push, that mentorship back as well.
Yeah, that's the important bit for me, is I was fortunate. I had a number of people who I could learn from, who could really help my career and guide me. My belief is that that's now my responsibility to do that for the next group of people. And the one thing that I always ask of anyone who works in my teams is, when you're sat in a chair like mine, you do the same and you carry on that movement.
Thank you. I want to introduce Khalid. He's a strange one for me because as a CISO, I'm on close to the board. I actually speak to mostly executives, and Khalid decided to choose me to mentor. Strange that he took me to a certain coffee shop, and he's insistent on drinking and eating in that coffee shop, Mr. Calm and Collected. But he reminds me of who we are. For many, many years, you actually progress within an organization, and sometimes you need that reminder of where you started, who you were, how hungry you were as well. And he does that for me. Khalid, tell your story, please.
So my name is Khalid Abdi. I'm 21 years old. I currently work as a technology apprentice at RX Global. Been there for just over a year now. When I finished school, I was in limbo between going to university and picking up an apprenticeship. And naturally, what I wanted to do was gain hands-on and practical experience, while also getting a first-hand experience of what it's like working for a big corporate company in my career. So hence why I picked an apprenticeship. Was applying for quite a while, ended up falling up on RX, and lucky enough, they took me on board. Been for quite a while now, and the rest is history.
So the title of this session is about connections without having connections.
Yep.
How did you break through without having any connections in this field at all?
So how I broke through was initially I was always set on having IT as a career path, and I completed a couple courses in which I tried to develop my IT skills. And with those courses, they allowed me to be identified by senior members across the board. And it took me a while actually to find an interview for an apprenticeship. And with that, I had many interviews with many companies and ended up falling up on RX. And with that, I was lucky enough to have Nick as a VP and him to identify my skills as being compatible with the company that I'm currently working for.
Okay, you're making it sound really simple, but
Yeah.
I don't think it was, because I believe you had to fight against another eight or so people.
I did, yeah.
Nick, how did that go?
I always enjoy the days that we do it. So the way that we do apprenticeship placement is we get everyone in together. So Khalid knew everyone else who was against him. They have a whole day of sessions with my team, which is facilitated. They have discussions, they have troubleshooting activities to do, and ultimately they have to make an impression in order to progress forward. And we have turned everyone down in the past because it's a certain caliber person that we're looking for. I remember Khalid incredibly well. So I don't attend the entire session. I joined. As soon as I walked in, someone announced my job title, which was big and scary, and the look of fear came across everyone's face, apart from one individual, who stood up and shook my hand. And I noticed him. He was smartly dressed, he was attentive of what was going on, and he was participating. I stayed for about 15, 20 minutes just to engage in the conversation, and Khalid was very, very engaging. He had his own opinions, he stood up, and he made an impression. The other bit that I always do is give the opportunity to ask questions of me. I think Khalid was the first person who actually asked a question, and there was only one other out there. So he stood in my mind, certainly from the second that I walked into the room. My team came to me after the day, said, we've got one person that we're interested in, and that's this person. What do you think? And then there was a little bit of a question mark that came up over Khalid's CV. So we were on the fence a little bit. So the conversation I then had with my leadership team was, okay, there's something there, there's something in him, let's ask him. So the next day, he gets a meeting invite for a one-on-one with myself. And how did that go, Khalid?
So with that one-to-one, it came quite literally the following day of my group interview with the rest of the candidates. And I'll never forget, Nick asked me to turn my camera on, and I was quite hesitant because quite early in the morning, just woke up from bed.
Pajamas?
Pajamas, you can imagine. And we ended up having that interview, and I was prepping, pretty much going all over my CV, trying to find any areas that he could quiz me on. And the one area he ended up asking on was the gap in my CV. And that was the one area I wasn't quite ready for, but I managed to improvise quite well on that. And, yep.
So lesson number one, well, apart from wearing pajamas, just make sure that your CV is done properly, because we are in a rush. We think no one looks at it. Nowadays, myself and Nick, we're looking at your CVs, and we're looking at dates. And then we're going on LinkedIn and making sure those dates match up. We're checking. So please, lesson number one, make sure your CV is done well. Let's continue the story, I think.
Yep, so from my perspective, Khalid answered it very well. The gap in his CV was around a certain period of time, COVID, and I just wanted to understand that was a period of time that was tough for everyone, regardless of whether you're working or not, particularly those who weren't. Finding a job during that time was incredibly difficult. So I wanted to dig in, had he done during that time? And Khalid, what did he do?
And during that time, I managed to land a software development internship for a couple months. And between the end of the internship and the beginning of my apprenticeship, I was out of employment. And during that time, what I did was I was working on individual courses just to kind of boost myself and make myself seem, put myself in a better light for other employers. So I was working on a couple different Python courses, just courses based around IT to just kind of help me push forward.
So that's quite interesting, actually, because Nick, what are you looking for in those CVs, especially someone who doesn't have the experience as well?
So for me, it's not about the experience. Technical skills, if you're a techie person, I can teach you technical skills. I can't teach behaviors and interest that well. So what I was looking for is has someone got common sense? Are they going to take an interest? Are they going to push themselves? And during that time of unemployment, it would have been very easy to sit around, I'm applying for jobs, I'm not doing anything. Khalid didn't. He got up, he did courses, he tried to better himself. Now, he had no idea whether it was relevant to the role or not, and to me, that was irrelevant. What he was showing was the attitude that he was going to work hard, he was willing to try better, and that really shone through both with the interview, with the courses that he did, and he convinced me very quickly after that phone call.
Why do you invest in apprenticeships within your space, whilst others do not?
Partly it's how I started. So I started and was given that opportunity. I wasn't a core techie at that time. I'd learned my skills on the fly, but people helped me along the way, all the way through my career, and even today they still do that. I look at it as it's my role now to help the next bunch of people. It's a lot of hard work from the company's side, because you've got a resource that you need to put time into. A lot of companies, they're measured on the number of headcount that they have in a business unit. So within a business, if you've got 10 people, you are measured on that. Why would I give up one of those heads to a apprentice when I'm not going to get the full value that I could from everyone else? But for me, that's the wrong way of looking at it. I can grow talent, I can nurture talent. They can then go off and build a bigger network inside, outside the company. It really doesn't matter. I've got someone that I can talk to, and they can go off and do the same and spread that, continue throughout society.
A little bit of a tough question then, because let's just say that everyone's put their CVs in. How would you pick those ones that actually stands out?
It's the ones that are interesting. So roughly, I spend about 30 seconds per CV for the first pass. So I'm looking for, what have you done? And the term I always use, and I think I've used it with you, Khalid, as well, is the so what. So I've got Python skills, wonderful. So what have you done with it? And that's what I'm really interested in. So if you can tell me a story, I'm going to pay a lot more attention.
So if they're doing some work on projects and actually committing to some of those activities as well.
Yep, 100%. It is very much what have you done and what has been the outcome of that. Like I said at the beginning, my story was I had an interview for a trainee role. The question I got is, what is the biggest thing that you are most proud of? I'm 18, I'm working at M&S, and I've just left college. My answer was, actually last week I just met a star that I'm an idol of, and that was Meatloaf. And that spun a whole conversation with the hiring manager and the HR person, which actually got me a job, which started my career. And it was just something as simple as that.
Okay. Start thinking about things that can just stand out in your CV. Perhaps not about meeting Meatloaf, but anyway, we'll move on from there. Thank you very much for that. Khalid, did you work in any projects at all? Something that you needed to submit? Were you working in areas where you can actually show some of your skill sets at all?
Is this before the apprenticeship or during it?
Before.
Before the apprenticeship? So before the apprenticeship, I was working on quite a few software development-based projects in which I was creating some mini games. I also completed, like I mentioned, a course in Python. I tried to also gain a basic understanding of IT. So with that, basic networking, and what I tried to do was try to understand where the industry was heading and position myself in the best way I possibly could.
Okay, we'll talk about AI in a second.
Yep.
Okay, I'm sure everyone's be asking that.
The one thing I just add, and you can feel it here right now, is if someone's got passion about what they do, it really shines. And just as Khalid started talking then about the projects that he'd done, you could feel that he was proud of what he'd done and the passion was there. And it is bring that passion to every conversation that you have. You never know what conversation is going to lead to the next big thing.
Khalid, since you've become an apprentice,
Yep.
okay, what have you been doing?
So as of recently, I completed a cloud computing course, the 18900 exam, and with that, it was a part of my apprenticeship portfolio. So with that, it just allowed me to get a better understanding of the cloud world and how that relates back to my role as well. I also picked up the ITIL 4 certification, and with that, it was an overview of IT service management, and just gave me a better understanding of how that relates to the company as a whole. And also, this was something we were doing within my role on a regular basis, but it also gave me the theory aspects of it, so what it was like on paper, as well as in real-life scenarios.
One of the things I like about your role is that you've been involved in networks, databases, cybersecurity. What has been the highlights and the lowlights? And you could talk about the lowlights in front of Nick, it's okay.
Yep. Okay. I'd say the highlights would be having interesting conversations with senior members. So with those, I gain a lot of insights as to what's happening, not only within the company, but current trends within the industry. I'm quite fortunate actually to work for RX. They happen to be an event exhibition company. And with them, they host a lot of events across the world. And I have the privilege to attend some of these events. So as of recently, I attended InfoSec, which is a info security event they were hosting.
Yeah, that's my show.
Yeah. So that was really interesting, just seeing the effects we have on the customers, as well as seeing the work that we put in behind the scenes and how that also shows out to the shows that we host. Also happened to attend Comic-Con earlier this year, and it was completely different to InfoSec. Very creative, people coming in with their different costumes.
Where was that?
It was XL London.
Okay. So you've been abroad as well, haven't you?
Yes, as of recently, I went to Boston for a couple of days to attend the Splunk conference, the annual Splunk conference.
And your boss paid for that, yes?
Yes, he did. He came out of his pocket. And that was really interesting. Managed to understand what Splunk is, the different security, monitoring, alerting benefits to offer to different companies, as well as get to see the city as well, beautiful city Boston is. And yeah, it was a really good experience.
So Nick, this is just cheap labour then, really, is it?
There is always that side of it. The apprenticeship salaries are lower than you would pay mid-career and professionals. However, it's not about that. The work effort that goes in on both sides actually makes it worthwhile. And like I said, Khalid is doing a lot of good stuff for us. He's learning the technology. The one thing I really love about bringing in apprenticeships and inexperienced individuals is they ask the one stupid question that we always forget to ask. And the one that always gets me is, well, why are you doing that way? It's stupid. And it's like, yeah, you're right, actually. And we forget to ask those types of questions. And it's those that really drive us forward and actually make lasting change across the organisation. And Khalid, and as well as some of the others, don't stop to do that for us.
I think from my experience, a Khalid grounds the executive teams and it allows us to understand what we're really about. And what we're really about is people. Now, RX is an unusual organisation. We're not the Ciscos or the IBMs. Our actual job is to bring people together. So we put on events. We put on something like 400 events a year, including Comic-Con, including InfoSecurity, World Travel Market, London Book Fair. That's all us. We're behind the scenes. So in actual fact, our job is to connect people. In actual fact, we are connecting with people constantly. That's our job. Our job is not to sit behind a desk and work there 9 to 5. It's actually bringing people together. And talking about bringing people together, then, you've been mentoring a long time as well, Nick, haven't you?
Yes. So again, I've been fortunate to have some great mentors and coaches across the time. I do participate in multiple different mentoring programs across RELX, as well as outside. And for me, it's a two-way relationship. So I've got experience that the individuals that I'm mentoring don't have, but they also keep me honest as well, and they ask the questions that, again, I may have forgotten, asking me to go back to when they were in that position and how I got through it. And it was interesting, the comments about introversion earlier. So I am an extreme introvert. Every HR test that I've ever done, I am way on the extreme. What I've had to do over time is learn to bypass that. It is exhausting. For anyone who is a true introvert, it is truly exhausting. And there are times, particularly like Khalid went last week to Boston, I just want to be in the hotel room on my own for an hour just to de-brain myself. But I knew that if I wanted to progress in my career, that's what I had to do. And then certainly seeing other introverts who struggle with that is actually one of the things that I can truly help, because I have had to do it and I have had to get through it. And that, again, it's part of my role to make sure that I help out.
That is an interesting comment there, because I'm also an introvert as well on stage. So that's something that you guys should be aware of. Don't be afraid. Come on stage, stand up, speak. Allow yourself to be vulnerable and allow yourself to learn. I'm talking about learning. Khalid, again. Now, you have learned a lot. And so obviously you are naturally going to go and work for security, aren't you?
Yeah.
Not IT.
Sorry?
You're not IT, but security.
In IT.
Okay. So we'll be fighting over him. That's not a problem. Obviously, that's why he's gone to Boston, etc. So look, again, like I said, Khalid allows us to be grounded a little bit more. But Khalid, let me ask you a question. What has it done for you then as a person, this learning for the last, I don't know, year, is it 18 months so far?
It's been just over 50 months now.
Wow, okay. I mean, you've learned not just from a technology side of things, but also from a people person as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Could you explain?
So when I first started, I was, first of all, this entire thing would not be happening a year ago today. I couldn't imagine myself being here. So in terms of social skills, I've definitely learned how to socialize with people, talk to senior members, as well as people within and outside of the company. And one thing that it has taught me is that regardless of your position, everyone's human at the end of the day. And you should treat people as they are instead of based on their name or based on their position they're currently in. And that really differentiates somebody from being a regular person to treating them as if they're a superstar. So that was something that I did learn early on. And one thing that really did help me become more fearless when attending different team meetings and seeing people more senior than me and not being afraid to share my opinions or my experiences on certain topics or tasks.
One of those experiences was, I think, I believe a meeting didn't go well.
Yep.
Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I do.
And I saw you in the office, and your head was in the laptop.
Yeah.
And one of the first things you said to me was, we're actually just doing a wash-up on how we can actually present better, how we can get the numbers better. Man, I walked out of that room thinking, damn, okay, he's learning. So certainly things are actually filtering into your world, both in and out of the office as well.
Yep.
Okay, fantastic. Any questions so far? Oh, wow, all right, okay, all right. Can we have a mic? Any one of them.
Hi, thank
Hi.
you so much. So I wanted to ask, I like the advice of being free and going up to senior management, but sometimes I worry that there's this fatigue with people, because you're clearly someone people want to know. So there's this fatigue of everyone coming up to you and trying to show you their face. Don't you get tired of that? And what sort of, I don't know how to put it, what sort of aspect is memorable for you in terms of not being generic and another sort of people pleaser person coming up to you?
Okay, I can answer that. First of all, there's nothing generic about any one of us. So that's the first thing. So when you come to me and you want to ask a question, you want to put a point forward, you want to make sure that your name is up there. In fact, that's what we all should be doing. And it's something that I didn't do. And that's one of the things that you learn from. So during your career, if you pass that piece of paper, if you speak to that senior management, if you sent an email to the leadership board, then your name will be known. Who's this person? I did that. It wasn't successful, but the CEO, yes, I sent an email to the CEO, but the CEO knew my name. And that's the most important thing, is to get your name out there. Work on those other areas. Work on, what do I say? How do I say it? When you're sitting in a meeting, you can be that shrunken violet. And you can be the person that's sitting there thinking, I've got a good idea, but I don't want to say it. I'm going to sound stupid. Sound stupid. Get your name out there. Sound stupid. What's the worst that's going to happen? Okay. Say it? No, that's not it. We, as members of the board, we actually applaud people like that. And unless we are unusual, and I don't believe we are. What do you look for?
100%. Like I said, it's the stupid questions and the stupid comments that actually trigger something in our brains. And it's those that I want. And the one piece of advice I was always given, there's only one stupid question, and that's the one you didn't ask. The chances are there's going to be at least one other person who has the same thought, the same question that you have. So don't be afraid. The key is to be authentic. So don't make excuses for it. Really be authentic.
Any questions that you asked and you thought were stupid?
Yeah, just to add to that, with what Nick said, I got that advice quite early in my career. So I've pretty much taken that on board and ran with it. Anything that pops into my head, I'll be the first to pick up on answer. Yeah.
Good, thank you. Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, just quickly, I just want to make this announcement. For all our questions, can we please scan the QR code on the screen?
Oh, nice.
If that's okay. So if you could do that now with your questions, and then we'll start asking our panelists the questions that are sent through the Slido. I think that will be easier and quicker for us to do, if that's okay. Thank
Fantastic.
you, Des.
I did have one more, actually.
Go ahead.
This lady over here.
Yes, I do that all the time. So number one, don't feel bad. It is normal, and you do get used to it. Interesting enough, I've got a young lady who I'm mentoring at the moment, and her confidence level is incredibly low. And she was saying exactly the same thing. How do I get my point across, or that initial interaction when I'm nervous and I start tripping over myself? So what I had to do at our next meeting was, we're going to start off with a little bit of role play. So I don't know you, so we're now in the elevator. Tell me, you've got 30 seconds to tell me, who are you? And we came in, joined the call, and instantly we launched into that. And her confidence level grew dramatically over the space of 30 seconds. It was because she rehearsed it, because she knew what she was talking about, and more importantly, she was talking about herself, which is, there's only one true expert of that person, and that's yourself. So it's just practice some of those conversations in your head. I know I certainly do. Whether it's a good conversation or it could be a not so nice conversation that I need to have, I'm practicing over and over in my head that when I get there, I still trip up, I still make the mistakes, but it's less so, and it's less of an issue in my mind at that point in time because I know I'm ready.
Elevator speech is very, very, very important. So if you can get to what you really want to talk about into 45 seconds, into a minute, that's going to be very useful, because that's going to be the off chance that you're going to walk into the elevator and damn it, there's the CEO. And then how do you put your point across in terms of a project, an idea, a sense of, hey, I can do more for you, all in that 45 seconds without fumbling your words. These are things that you need to think about. So be concise. Can you get it down to 45 seconds? That's something that we should be practicing. And Khalid, I think I've mentioned that to you a few times, haven't I?
You have, yes. Quite a few weeks ago, we had a session with Des, and with that, he just mentioned the elevator technique to me, and we ran through it a couple of times, in which I had to explain some of the projects I was recently working on. So that was also a good experience.
And I just add, that was not rehearsed in the slightest. So we've not talked about this, but it's something we fundamentally just do.
But I think
Okay.
we have another question too. We have more. Go ahead.
Yeah, we've got a few. If you still have a question, if you can scan the QR code, we'll get to it. So this is a question for Khalid. Okay, we've got a few for you actually.
Okay.
Why the picture?
Okay, so I'm gonna join two together and
Okay.
see if you can answer them. So this one says, "How are you so confident? Is it a natural thing or because you prepare very well?" And then, in that same vein, how do you overcome anxiety before interviews and how do you build confidence?
In terms of confidence, I'd say that this isn't something that I naturally had starting off, I'd say maybe a year or 2 years ago. It was definitely something that I built up. And one key thing that helped me a lot was preparation. So before any meeting, interview, or even this in itself, I'd make sure that I have a bunch of notes that I've rehearsed probably hundreds or maybe tens of times, just to kind of make sure that I'm on the right page and I know exactly what I'm saying. And when it comes to my mind going blank, which I know could happen to a lot of people, I tend to pretty much go with my thoughts and talk about something in and around that topic. Not maybe necessarily that topic, but something around it, just to kind of make it coherent and make sense. And for the second question, with anxiety, I'd say it ties in with the first question. It would be a lot of preparation, and also one thing that helped me a lot was exposure therapy. So kind of putting yourself in these scenarios they're trying to avoid, and making sure that you know in the back of your head that regardless of what happens, you're still going to make it alive. The worst that can happen is you get laughed at and you move on.
That's it. That's amazing.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So this is a question that goes, as introverts, open offices / on-site working can be tiring. How do you manage this? Introversion is not shyness, but how do you gain energy? How do you manage?
I think for me personally, I'm beginning to embrace my role as a leader, and with that in mind, when I walk the floor, I actually enjoy people coming up to me and asking me questions. I enjoy pausing and reflecting. I like to listen to people and see if I can actually help them as well. So in fact, it's embracing who I am and embracing who I would like to be as well.
Yeah, 100%. I take out pretty much everyone across my team out for a coffee when I'm in the office. That breaks up that routine, which is an energizer for me. But the one thing you do have to be kind to yourself. It is exhausting. It is tiring, especially if you're on a few of the trips that I go on. It's a week or 2 weeks with the same people for pretty much 24/7. So be kind to yourself and just build in those break points. One of the things, we're fortunate enough that our office is in Richmond. I get to just go out for a walk and just walk by the river. And I will just give myself a little bit of downtime where I can de-brain is the way that I do it. Working from home was a fantastic thing. It was also a really bad thing for me, in that that drive from the office to my home was the time that I would talk to myself. I would de-brain the entire day, that by the time I walk through the door, I'm actually refreshed and ready to go again. The walk from my office to the lounge was incredibly short and didn't give me any time for that. So particularly during the COVID times, that was incredibly difficult. And again, I had to build in a way of giving myself that time. And I would take the dogs for a walk and I'd talk to them pretty much, and people look at me as if I'm crazy. So.
I did a lot of walking, 20,000 steps a day. Yeah, a bit extra. Any
Okay,
other questions?
thank you so much.
No problem.
We've got a few questions that sound like very similar, and they all have to do with what's your recruitment process like. Somebody asked about if you have like limited experience for an ethical hacker. What does that currently look like?
Damn it.
Just a little overview.
Okay, ethical hackers. Well, first of all, we have a lot of young people here. I'm only going to talk about cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is the place to be right now. Yes, you're fighting against AI as we speak, but it is the place where you can actually learn new skills. You can actually be that person who can defend your organization. Let me just tell you a few stories about my role, and we can get into being an ethical hacker. So I used to work for Sony, and I had an interest in hacking. In fact, my background is hacking, but that's something else. But I had an interest in hacking. And the senior management came up to me and they said, we need you to go to Japan to help us regarding a case. And inside myself, I went, damn, yeah, of course. Obviously, I played it cool. I said, yeah, I'll check my diary. And they sent me there. Now, and that's the very first time you sort of validated your skill sets as budding engineers, people who are playing games, you're playing online games, you are thinking differently. These are the people who I look for. I look for people who think different. So does it mean that you need to go to university in my world? Nope. Does it mean that you need to actually have formal qualifications? Nope. But do you think different? Are you different? So are you the type of person that perhaps you face the door because you don't want people coming behind you? Are you the type of person that's always looking around? These are the type of people who I actually look for from a cybersecurity point of view. I can always sing the story of cybersecurity. Ethical hackers, I'm always looking for people who think different. I'm always looking for, it doesn't matter about your color, creed, or anything else. Can you do the job? You are going to be fighting against AI because AI can do it quicker, but I think you can actually form a partnership with AI, and that's going to be something that you should be looking forward to. So recruitment, feel free to reach out to me anytime you like. What about you?
In line with that, just like reaching out to you, somebody asked if you, for both Nick and Des, you possibly mentor people outside of your sphere, and what does that look like?
Well, I'm certainly open. It's an opportunity just to remind, and please search out RX, the RX booth. It will give you more of an insight of the jobs that's out there for us, and everything from program management to IT to ops to security, and in all locations from the US to the UK as well. So reach out to the RX booth outside. But for me personally, I would be open to one or two more. Nick?
100% agree. Feel free to reach out. It's part of our role as leaders now to make sure that we're passing on the knowledge and the baton to the next group of people.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm gonna come back to Khaled. So again, 2 questions in one. Somebody asks, where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years? And almost like similarly, somebody also asks, what's like one behavior that you stuck to and kept and you intend to keep growing in your career?
Good questions.
So in the next 5 to 10 years, I would envision myself to be an all-rounder in the field that I hope to get into. So being somebody that people can call upon and ask questions on a particular topic, whether it be technology-based, finance, and just be able to give the best possible answer I could in those kind of scenarios. And in terms of one behavior that I kept to, it would probably be hard work, most definitely. First starting out, there was a lot of tasks being thrown my way, and it took a lot of time management skills and also balance to keep those tasks on track. And not only that, I also had to make sure that those tasks were delivered to an appropriate standard and make sure that the people who are receiving those tasks were impressed with my work. So hard work would be the behavior that I kept.
Thank you so much. I think I'm gonna do a last question. It's also like a recurring theme in some of these questions. So what is RX's approach to AI? Is it being incorporated? If so, how? And what direction do you see it going for RX? Also, just one more second. How are you guys approaching AI in the events and exhibition space? And where do you see it taking the business and the cybersecurity industry?
Okay, I'll start and then you can do your cyber talk as you normally do. So AI is a fascinating world right now, and there is a lot of scaremongering, a lot of fear that's going around there. The biggest reason is it's not truly understood. the rapid state of change is making everyone nervous. And Des and I were talking earlier that one of the things that I've seen over the last few weeks is I'm doing AI because you're doing it, and you're doing it because they're doing it, and they're doing it because they're doing it. Okay, but where's the value? Where's the return on investment? What are we truly trying to do here? So I'm treating AI and across RX as we're inquisitive. We know it's going to change a few things, but at the moment, it's a personal assistant. It makes you better at what you're doing, and it makes you a bit quicker at what you're doing. There are jobs that are going to change, and we are seeing job losses across the globe. Partly that is AI, partly that's an excuse. So what we're tending to look at the moment is where does it make sense to deploy AI that it's not going to break the business, because these things are very expensive to do. But likewise, one of the comments earlier as well was that instead of 3 roles, we may hire 1, because as a customer service person, for example, used to be able to do 10 calls a day, now they can do 100 because the AI piece is doing it for you. However, you still need a human in the loop, because AI makes mistakes, it makes things up. So we have to be cautious with what we're doing. We have to embrace the change and really truly understand it, understand how it works, playing with it, getting your knowledge up is very key. From an events perspective, it's quite an interesting world for us because we are face-to-face, we are physical. AI doesn't work very well in physical environments. So what we're looking at is just different use cases, such as how can you match people together? So one of our big things is how do you match a buyer and a seller together? So that's where a good thing from an AI could really come in, speed that matching process up, get it more accurate. What I'm actually more interested in is how virtual reality and augmented reality can help us. So in some of our shows, we bring in massive $1 million equipment into the show, so like an MRI scanner at a medical show. We don't need to do that anymore. We could have the same footing in the booth, but you could actually have AR headsets that you could actually interact with that machine without physically bringing it there. So there's different use cases that we have, and we're embracing the change, but it's not the answer to everything, and it never will be. We just need to change, keep our skill sets up, and just learn how to use it, make ourselves better.
From a cyber point of view, it's a different world for us because we are faced with hackers on a day-to-day basis, and perhaps on an hourly basis, and we've seen a change. So gone are the days where you're picking up an email and you can look at the grammar and the spelling and you go, hey, that's a phishing attempt, we can spot that. You can't spot it anymore. AI is being used to make it absolutely perfect. So I have to fight AI with AI. So I've empowered my team to partner with AI. Come to me and how we can actually automate and utilize AI even more so. So for me, I'm looking for people who partners with AI. Not dabble, I've used ChatGPT. It's beyond that now, please. So what I'm looking for is that for your CVs, what have you done to partner? In fact, do me a favor. Anyone use Netflix at all or subscribe to Netflix? Well, okay, do me a favor. Don't subscribe to Netflix. Uninstall it. Use the money for AI. Why don't you just pay for a subscription for ChatGPT instead? Netflix is not going to help you, but certainly you need to partner. Do you remember that time in school that you had that person next to you and they knew most of the answers? That's your partner. Utilize them. And it's not just for the emails, okay? So this is not just how you respond to people, but actually, can you make yourself better? And how I use it from a personal point of view, it's not a case of, hey, can you rewrite this email for me? I'll actually empower AI to now critique my email. For me, I want to be challenged. So use AI to challenge yourself, not to be your best buddy and say, actually, you did a good job. So, very important. You need to form a partnership with AI. Otherwise, you will be left on a shelf. Okay?
Can we give Des, Nick, and Khaled a round of applause, please? What a great session. Before we move on, I just want to...